I thought it was just another mundane day at work until Karen walked in. Little did I know that her demand to remove my pride pin would turn into a heated argument that could cost me my job. But I wasn't going to back down without a fight. Here's how it all went down. I work at a retail store, and I have to say, it's been quite an experience. I always thought that retail was a great way to make some extra money, but I never thought I would encounter someone like Karen. Karen is a middle-aged woman who seems to have a vendetta against me, but I have no idea why. One day, I decided to wear a pride pin on my shirt. It was a small, subtle thing, but it meant a lot to me. It was a way for me to express myself and show support for the LGBTQ+ community. But then Karen saw it. She approached me with a scowl on her face and demanded that I take it off. "That's inappropriate," she said. "You can't wear that here." I was taken aback. I didn't know what to say. I tried to explain that it was my right to wear the pin and that it wasn't hurting anyone, but she wasn't having it. "You're promoting sin and immorality," she said. "I won't stand for it." I was shocked. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I tried to defend myself, but Karen just kept getting angrier and angrier. She demanded that I remove the pin, and I refused. I didn't want to back down. I wanted to stand up for myself and for what I believed in, but Karen wasn't having it. She just kept getting more and more entitled, like she was the one in charge. I tried to ignore Karen's comments, but she just wouldn't let it go. "You need to take that off right now," she demanded, her voice getting louder. "It's offensive to me and to other customers." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I had never encountered someone so hostile and intolerant in my life. "I have a right to express myself," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "This pin doesn't hurt anyone." But Karen wasn't listening. She just kept getting angrier and angrier, like she was looking for a fight. "You're being disrespectful," she said. "You need to take that off, or else." I could feel the tension in the air, and I knew that this wasn't going to end well. "I won't take it off," I said firmly, looking Karen in the eye. "This pin means a lot to me." "You have no right to wear that here," Karen retorted, her voice rising. "This is a family store. You're promoting sin and immorality." "That's not true," I replied, trying to keep my voice calm. "I have a right to express myself." "No, you don't," Karen shouted, her face turning red. "You're being disrespectful to other customers. Take it off or I'll get you fired." I felt my heart racing as Karen's words sunk in. Was she really going to try to get me fired over this? I couldn't believe it. I had never felt so angry and frustrated in my life. "You can't do that," I said, my voice shaking with emotion. "This is discrimination." "I'm not discriminating," Karen shot back. "I'm just asking you to be respectful." "But you're not being respectful to me," I said, my voice rising. "You're trying to take away my right to express myself. That's not fair." "I won't take it off," I said firmly, looking Karen in the eye. "This pin means a lot to me." "Fine," Karen huffed, crossing her arms. "But don't expect me to be happy about it." I shrugged. "I don't need your approval." Karen glared at me for a few more seconds before storming off. I let out a sigh of relief. I couldn't believe how much drama one little pin had caused, but I was glad that I had stood up for myself and for what I believed in. As the day went on, I couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. I wondered if Karen was going to try to get me fired, or if she was going to cause any more trouble. But as the hours passed, nothing happened. I went about my work as usual, and no one seemed to care about the pin. Just as I was about to leave for the day, my manager called me into his office. I felt my heart racing as I wondered what he wanted to talk about. Had Karen complained about me? Was I in trouble? To my surprise, my manager smiled at me when I walked in. "I just wanted to say that I'm proud of you," he said. I blinked in surprise. "What do you mean?" "I mean that you stood up for yourself today," he said. "That takes a lot of courage, and I want you to know that we support you here. You have a right to express yourself, and we're not going to let anyone take that away from you." I felt a lump form in my throat as my manager's words sank in. I had been so worried about getting in trouble that I hadn't even considered the possibility that someone might support me. But now, as I looked at my manager's kind face, I felt like I could breathe again. "Thank you," I said, my voice shaking with emotion. "That means a lot to me." My manager nodded. "Of course, and if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to ask." I left my manager's office feeling a little lighter. I knew that Karen might not be happy about my pin, but I also knew that I had the support of my coworkers and my manager, and that was enough. I can't believe people like that actually exist, but you know what they say, truth is stranger than fiction. I'm so glad the protagonists stood up for themselves and didn't back down, and it's great that their manager had their back too. We need more people like that in the world. Also, can we just take a moment to appreciate how ridiculous it is that some people get so worked up over a little pin? I mean, seriously, there are bigger problems in the world. My husband has been cheating for the past decade. I had the perfect marriage, or so I thought. But one day, I stumbled upon a video on my husband's phone that shattered my world. I discovered that he had been leading a double life for the past 10 years, with another woman and 2 daughters. Here's how it all went down. I honestly am at a loss for words. I just don't understand why this is happening to me. I'm 30F, and my husband, 30M, have been married for 5 years, together for 11. We had a perfect relationship, just a constant honeymoon phase. Of course, it got boring here and there, and there were bumps along the road, but I would have never thought of this. Ever. Yesterday, I was looking up a recipe on Pinterest using my husband's phone when he got a message from a contact called Internet Company. But it was a video, which I thought was weird, so I clicked on it. Within the video, there was a little girl saying "Dada" and a woman in the background that got super excited. I couldn't believe it. I scrolled up, tons of texts, all about different things. When he'd be visiting, if he could pick up, let's call her Kelly. Kelly up today. Daycare for, let's call her Dina. Date nights, all sorts of stuff. I couldn't believe my eyes. I managed to find the woman on Facebook. All it did was really hammer it in that this was really happening. I tried to convince myself that those weren't his kids. Maybe he was just cheating on me with someone with kids. Please let him be cheating on me with someone with kids. This woman had 2 daughters, worked an office job, and posted pictures of her daughters and what she made for dinner every night. I took a breath and messaged her. It was so much worse than I could have ever imagined. These 2 girls were both his, one being 11 months and the other being 4 years old. I was already panicked at the thought of him cheating on me for 4 years until I asked how long. 10 freaking years. They had been dating for 10 years. He kept up a double life for 10 years. I don't even want to fathom how. Apparently this woman had no idea. He always claimed he had to live away from her for work. He visited every weekend. Which FYI, I work 16-hour shifts on the weekend and return during the afternoon and go straight to bed. She showed me countless videos and images of them together. I just couldn't believe it. How could he do this to me? Why would he do this to me? We have been trying for a kid for 4 months. I was so excited to go through this experience together, but that's wrong. It wouldn't have been together. I'm so glad I'm not pregnant. I can't imagine living this lie while pregnant. I just can't look past this. I feel like such an idiot. How could I not tell? Why wasn't I concerned about never seeing him on the weekends? Why didn't I wonder why he took such frequent business trips? Why didn't I question why he was getting so many texts from an internet company? Why? Why did he waste my time like this? Why did he hurt me like this? Why the heck did he do this? I don't even know how to confront him. I can't sleep. I can't even be around someone like that. Someone who could do this to me. I'm so heartbroken. I can't ignore it. My life is a lie. My life is ruined. I don't know how to even try to move on. The OP left the following update. This is an update, extra info. I've gotten in contact with a divorce attorney. I'm obviously going to divorce him to all the people saying we should just be sister wives. Pretty small update, but I wanted everyone to also know a bunch of info, because the same questions keep getting asked. So here's the actual update. I haven't confronted him after dozens of comments advising me not to. Me and the other girl, I'll give her a fake name now I guess, so let's call her Jenny, no her name is not Jennifer, have been talking. She has agreed to not confront him only because we are married. I did in fact learn that my husband was supporting this other family of his, and apparently Jenny makes a very low paycheck, so she was and is financially dependent on him. Me and Jenny also got 2 sides of my husband. Me and my husband's life was eerily good. I guess you could say we never had any huge arguments. In fact, we rarely argued ever. And if we did, it was usually about me wanting him to get a different job. Because I was led to believe he was only making $31,000 a year, which is super low for his occupation. We had an amazing intimate life, all the normal couple bases. But apparently, he wasn't so nice to Jenny. He was far more distant, literally also. Yelled at her all the time, treated her like trash, only for him to bring her amazing gifts, and take her out on amazing date nights and tell her how much he loved her the next week. But that's not it. He loves his daughters oh so much, even though he's screwing over their mom, and acts like such a good father. That makes me mad. Like super mad. I can't even fathom why he's not 100% trash. Shouldn't I be happy? But I'm not. I'm so mad at him. It's eating away at me that I can't just scream at him about how horrible he is. Now here's a whole bunch of info to answer a bunch of questions. How didn't you notice money missing? Our finances were kept separate. We also got a prenup when we got married. How did he keep up visitation during COVID? Apparently he didn't. Jenny said that he mostly only called and FaceTimed. If she dared brought it up, he'd just hang up on her. Real good guy, I know. Why were you on his phone? Could it be, my phone was almost dead, so I used his? Yes, I noticed he had calls from her, but she was saved as Internet Company, so I paid little mind. Oh, and funny thing is, I'm saved as spam call in his phone, which, fun fact, was a joke between us because I used to call him 5 times every day during our early 20s. People used to literally call me spammy. I occasionally got mad at him because how would he know if it was spam or not? Pretty mad I didn't get weirded out faster. How didn't you figure it out via social media? How did you find her? I usually only use Facebook to look at stupid memes and talk to friends. I had her phone number, that's how. Why didn't you text her instead of messaging her? Got this one as a private message, but I talked to her on Facebook because I didn't want him to see my number on her phone somehow. I know, paranoid and whatever. Why don't you just convert and be sister wives? Why? Why would I do that? How didn't you notice? Why did you get married so young? I don't know. Maybe I trusted my partner of 11 years. We got married young because he wanted to, and we could. How could he have the energy to keep up a double life? I'm not him, I don't know. Honestly, it's beyond me why he would be with me and her at the same time. It makes more sense for him to have been with her full time than me. What about family? He told Jenny that he cut his family off years ago. He didn't. And Jenny grew up in foster care and was never adopted. Funny thing is, his family probably won't care that he cheated on me. They'll only care that they were kept away from their grandbabies. Oh, and edit. Jenny gave me permission to tell all these things online as long as I don't give out her actual personal info. The OP left this update a couple days alter. Hello everyone, I am back. I've moved out of our house. I'm staying with a friend. We're getting divorced. I confronted him with said friend, just simply because you never know what can happen. But at least I got some form of closure out of this. First off, he wasn't sorry at all. Didn't even ask me to stay. Just huffed and said, okay, if this is what you want. When I asked him why, he just looked up at me. Didn't say a word. I asked him how he could keep this up for so long. What did he say? Because you both went along with it. So of course I asked further. As many of you guessed, Jenny knew. For some odd reason she was okay with this. I still don't understand why she would lie to me instead of, I don't know, just blocking me or something. I'll admit I was upset, very upset, and confused. So I asked again, why would you do this? He told me that he was cheating on me with her since the beginning of our dating, that she was just a fling though, and he didn't expect either relationship to really last. But it did. When I asked him why he cheated in the first place, he said, because I was young, could get away with it at that time, so why not? He disgusts me. I asked why he married me instead of her. Because you were the better choice. When I asked him to elaborate, he definitely elaborated. Jenny didn't have a good job, so she was a bad investment. Ew. Jenny was uglier. Once again, ew. Jenny wasn't as good as me. She wasn't as clean as me. She wouldn't be as good of a partner as me, and so on. I asked why he would even have sex with her if he liked me better. Because she was more kinky. For your information, I am not kinky. At all, I'm very vanilla in fact. I asked about the kids, of course. He clarified that the first kid was an accident. Jenny poked holes in a condom which he found out about but never confronted her. Of course, I don't know if I can trust this. He had a second one with her because, in his mind, he could handle one. So why not two? What type of dumbfoolery is that? When I asked about how he treated Jenny, he confirmed that he did, in fact, only see her on weekends, but claimed to have never treated her poorly. He said he treated her as the mother of his children, and respected her as such, but never treated her as a romantic partner. Apparently she was only there for sex, not love. At the end of it all, he asked if he could talk to me privately. I couldn't find a reason not to, so I sent my friend out of the room. He told me that he still loved me and that we could work this out if I really wanted to. That he would abandon Jenny and his daughters, but still pay child support. I said no, to which he let out the most dramatic sigh I'd ever heard in my life, before saying have it your way then wearing the most smug smile I've ever seen, like he'd won the biggest battle of all time. I was left conflicted. I cried in my friend's car all the way to his house. It's like my, now ex, could just change everything with a flick of a switch. I can feel myself already wanting him back, but I'm not going back. I'm never going back. I've got a lawyer. So does he. The papers are signed. All that's left is court. I can't believe how much my life has changed this year. I went from getting giddy to go home to see my husband's smile, to dreading it, hating it, wishing to never see it again. I don't know whether Jenny really knew, but I'm guessing she did. I mean, how did she not know for 10 years? But that being said, how didn't I know for 10 years? Whatever. I just wanted to let Reddit know that this is what's happened. This didn't happen recently, but I forgot about the whole Reddit post. I've got other things to worry about if you didn't notice. Haha. I don't know what to trust. I don't even want to reach out to Jenny. I don't even want to know the truth anymore. You know, Matthew, if you managed to see this honestly, I applaud you. Congrats, you did it. You ruined everything. You got away with it for over a decade and it's finally over. I wonder if you'll go back to Jenny or just find some other girl to trick, to destroy. All I care is that you leave me out of it. I'm looking forward to moving on and finding someone who actually loves me. It's really perplexing, isn't it? He seemed to have thought that he could have his cake and eat it too, but now he's lost both cakes. He's lost his better wife, and now he's stuck with the woman he treated so poorly. It's like he thought he was playing some sort of twisted game and he won, but in reality, he lost everything. Congrats indeed, what a prize he's won. Am I the jerk for making my brother's wedding reception about me? I, 25F, am a bridesmaid to the fiancé, 30F, of my older brother, 31M. She and I aren't particularly close, but I don't dislike her, and I suspect she asked me just because I'm my brother's sister. I, of course, agreed, and I was even fine with her putting me in whatever style she wanted so long as it didn't involve me dyeing my hair. You know, any major changes. It's not my day. I can suck up an ugly dress and act like it's gorgeous if that makes her happy. The issue, however, is that I'm a wheelchair user. I know that the wedding venue is fine for me as it's our local church, totally accessible, so all good. It's the venue being used for the reception that worries me. I asked her where the reception was going to be and if it was accessible for me and had an accessible bathroom, just covering my bases. She didn't get back to me. I figured she was busy, so left it a week or so before chasing her up again to re-ask. She told me she wasn't sure, so I asked where it was and she told me. I ended up looking up the building and my heart sank. It is an old building, not accessible at all for me, and no bathrooms I could feasibly use either. I told her this, and she got very upset, saying my brother had told her that he'd cover the cost, and she should just pick whatever she loved, and that she loved this. She then went on to suggest that we could just have someone carry me into the building, and my family or the other bridesmaids could help me use the bathroom when needed, which the very idea of mortified me. I'm not about to agree to being carried in and needing help to go to the bathroom. I ended up giving her two options. If she wanted me at the reception, she needed to pick somewhere that was accessible. If she didn't pick somewhere accessible, then I'd of course still be her bridesmaid at the wedding, but I'd have to skip the reception. She got upset at this as she feels like everyone, especially my family, will notice my absence and question it, and it'll make her look bad. She then told me I was making this about me, which wasn't fair when it was her day. I won't lie. At this point, I was enraged. I wanted to tell my brother to let him sort this, but I wasn't about to start a fight between them over this. I pointed out to her that, yes, this was her day, and I had no intention of making it about me. However, by marrying my brother, she was joining our family, and she needed to realize that she was not as sensitive as she thought she was, and suggesting that I be carried into the building and aided going to the bathroom was downright insulting. This led to a larger fight, and she told me if my brother didn't already know I was her bridesmaid, she'd not want me to be it anymore. I called it quits at that point, and told her she had my two options, and it was up to her which she wanted. Am I the jerk here? I don't feel like asking for the minimum accessibility is a lot, but maybe I'm too upset by the situation and her suggestions to see it clearly. A commenter asked, why hasn't she gone to her brother yet? The OP replied, that's a good idea. I may have to talk to him about this. He is not at all inconsiderate, which is why I've been hesitant to get him involved, as I know with most people he'd get angry over this, and I don't want to start a fight with them. He likely assumed it was obvious that any venue needed to be wheelchair accessible. Another commenter asked about the fiancé. I really hope it's not an indication of a cruel streak, as I don't want to think that of her. I'm really hoping it's just the stress of the wedding getting to her, but maybe I should bring it up to him before they get married to be safe. I will likely discuss this with my parents too and get them to weigh in on this matter. Finally, a commenter asked about the building/where she lives. Where is this taking place? Are there not laws about accessibility? The OP replied, the UK, and yes there are, however historic buildings are a gray area, and so long as actual weddings aren't being held there, they don't have to be fully accessible. The OP left an update the next day. Hi everyone, here's an update to the situation. As many of you suggested, I checked in with my brother and told him what was going on. I found out that the reason he left the reception planning to his fiancée was that they had made an agreement with him covering the ceremony and her covering the reception. We're Catholic, so he cared more about the religious side of the event, while she cared more about the reception party as she's not religious, which isn't a bad thing, just different. I showed him the texts and explained what had happened. He was angry at her suggestion that I be carried into the building and assisted in going to the bathroom. After only a quick search of the venue she'd picked, he could also see it wouldn't work out for me, and promised he'd resolve this and have a talk with her. He was annoyed at me for not bringing this to his attention sooner, and told me I shouldn't worry about his feelings over this. The best part of all of this? The venue isn't even booked yet. He had assumed she'd pick out somewhere accessible but has since admitted that he should have ensured that and not thought it was a given, so he has told me he'll see it's changed, and if it isn't, they have a bigger problem on their hands. The part that really got to him, though, was the admission that she didn't want me as her bridesmaid, if he didn't already know. In that case, he didn't want me being her bridesmaid, and instead wanted me to be his groomswoman, which I agreed to. I've yet to hear back from him on what's happening, so I can only wait and see. I'll update further when I know more. Relevant comments. Basically what she implied was that my brother had told her the sky's the limit, and to not worry about price as he'd cover it so long as she loved it. I do think he likely just assumed it was a given that it needed to be wheelchair accessible as they've been together so long, and she knows me. Okay, so first of all, this is ridiculous. The bride-to-be should have known better than to pick a venue that isn't accessible. That's just common sense. And suggesting that the bridesmaid be carried into the building? That's just insulting. I'm glad the brother is stepping in to fix this, but it shouldn't have come to this in the first place. And what's with the bride-to-be not wanting the bridesmaid if the brother didn't already know? That's just petty. This whole situation is just a mess. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to check out the other videos on your screen now. Subscribe right now, otherwise you're definitely the jerk.